Joining me now, great pleasure to welcome back former Congressman Kevin Brady. He was the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee. And Steve Moore, Committee to Unleash Prosperity and FreedomWorks, and the author of Govzilla. Gentlemen, welcome back. Kevin Brady, I don't want to make this, any harder than it needs to be. You spend less, you tax less, you inflate less, you're going to have more growth. I would argue the best message is Republicans want more growth and lower inflation, and that's what their spending restraint will be, whereas Joe Biden will have higher inflation and lower growth. Put it in economic terms, Kevin.
Yeah, that is. Look, and that's the common sense right there, Larry. And you and Stephen have been preaching this for decades, and it's proven to work, as you know. We see when you have lower taxes, and it's a pro-growth tax design, as we have today, thanks to you, too, and President Trump. When you have regulations that are balanced, and you have policies that encourage workers to reconnect to jobs in a big way, when you see that, you see you're lifting Americans up from the bottom. You are creating opportunities and rising paychecks much faster than inflation. And as you pointed out, under our Republican tax cuts, the upper earners, that wealthy 1%, are paying a greater share of the burden of taxes in America. So, look, we know the recipe. It's proven. And by the way, President Biden inherited an economy that had already recovered 12.5 million jobs. And when he took his oath of office that day in January, I was there, most economists expected the next 2 years to be two of the strongest economic years in history. He wrecked it quickly, and he wrecked it thoroughly.
Just, Kevin, before I get to Steve, Kevin, how can Biden, with a straight face, just say, I will veto everything they send me? He knows darn well he can't get a bill of any kind without the House. They have the power of the purse. I mean, what do you reckon? It just says political posturing, and then he's going to change his mind? Is he going to work with McCarthy at this meeting on Wednesday, or what's your expectation?
Yes, so one, I think Kevin McCarthy as Speaker is doing the responsible thing. Look, our debt is already at record levels. It is expected to surge another 50% this decade. So we know we're headed already into dangerous territory, and every year we don't act, that risk becomes higher. So Speaker McCarthy's doing the right thing. I'd like to think the president is just posturing, but I worry, that he's looking for an excuse to try to score political points rather than both address the debt ceiling responsibly, but find a way to right-size the government to sort of get our future back under control, because a lot of families get hurt if we continue to raise the debt. And you don't have to take my word for it. The Congressional Budget Office just last year confirmed that this rising debt with no end in sight, you're going to see inflation. You're going to see higher borrowing costs. You're going to see more dependence on foreign countries, and you won't be able to finance the government we have. So I think the leader, or speaker, proud to call him that, is doing exactly the responsible thing.
Steve Moore, I want to put up on the full screen the chart you sent me, lower tax rates, higher tax revenues. And this chart goes back, I don't know, almost 40 years, starting with the Reagan tax cuts. I think we can get it on the full screen. I hope we can. But the point is that, and there it is. The blue line is the top 1% tax share. The yellow line is the marginal tax rate. So look what happened. The marginal tax rate comes down from over time from Kennedy's 70% all through Reagan, comes down some more under Trump. And look at that. The top 1% actually pay more, contrary to all this left-wing redistributionist crap. Steve Moore, I mean, lower tax rates, higher revenues.
Yeah, look at what happened in the Reagan years, and I know you were one of the key economic advisors to Reagan with Art Laffer back then. You got a huge increase in the percentage of taxes paid by the rich, even when the top tax rate was reduced from 70% to 28%. Now, I want to apologize about something. In that chart you just showed, I wasn't able to put in that last year of data that you were reporting with the Tax Foundation, but I'll punctuate the point you made it earlier. Today in America, the top 1% pay more of the income tax than any time in history. Than when we had 90%, 70%, 50% rates. You and Kevin Brady, by the way, Kevin, you are too modest. We would not have gotten that tax cut done without your incredible leadership at the Ways and Means Committee. Once we got that thing through, not only did the economy do better, but the percentage of taxes paid by the rich increased. So I'm tired of people like Chucky Schumer and Joe Biden talking about that Trump tax cut for the rich. One other quick thing. We imported, Kevin knows these numbers, we imported $1 trillion from the rest of the world, right, Kevin? All of this money came in through that repatriation, which was invested in the USA. That's putting America first.
Yeah, multinational. That's the multinational income sitting overseas. We dropped the tax rate from 35% down to about 10 or 12%, and the money came back. Kevin Brady, let me just come back to this meeting. You've been in a lot of these high-level meetings now. I don't know if it's a lunch meeting or whether they'll serve coffee. Trump would have served Diet Cokes. That was his style, as you well know. Diet Coke is good for negotiation. But do you expect, Kevin, anything to come out of this meeting? I mean, here, let me just try to ask this a little more directly. It's hard for me to believe that Biden would put himself in a position of saying no negotiations whatsoever. I will veto everything after having a meeting like that in full public view. I would think that would do Biden a lot of damage, whereas Kevin McCarthy plays his cards, let's have a negotiation, I'm willing to do this and that. I mean, how do you read this, Kevin Brady? What's going to happen Wednesday?
I think your gut instinct is right. I think the president's reading the country wrong. What they're not looking for is a political stunt or intransigence that will prevent both parties from finding common ground. I don't think the president understands, as you noted earlier, the public wants us to pay our bills on time. We will, as the speaker said. But they also know our spending and our debt is out of control. They want some guardrails around that. And here you have Kevin McCarthy on behalf of the House Republicans with an approach that says, let's grow the economy more. That's really crucial for getting our budget back in balance. Well, let's have smart, enforceable guardrails that change the trajectory for the future in the long term. I think that's a smart approach to go. And whether they decide to target certain waste, fraud, and abuse in different agencies by numbers or a budget number or limit, or they go for those budget reforms that can also change the direction of our future in a good way. He's coming to the table, I think with good options that the American public will support.
Steve Moore, just briefly, very briefly, I'm going to ask this question 1,000 times in the weeks ahead. I want the country to get back to the 3.5% growth prosperity. That's what I want. Not 1.5%, which is nothing more than secular stagnation. We should not accept that. And I think smaller government has something to do with it, Steve. And I'd like to make that case. What you think?
Yeah, look, we've got to get to 3% growth. We have to. Now, that's going to probably mean we need more people working, Larry.
Yes.
We probably need more immigrants, but we also need to stop paying people not to work.
Yes.
I estimate we'd have about 3 or 4 million Americans working today, paying taxes, not collecting government benefits if we got back to the old Clinton-Gingrich welfare reforms. There's so many other things. By the way, there's $350 billion green energy slush fund, as Kevin knows, in that budget today. We don't need that money. Get rid of that money and save that money for the taxpayers.
All right. Terrific stuff. Kevin Brady and Steve Moore. It's great to see both of you. Appreciate it very much.